Hey people, this is part 2 of the Brumos Collection. Porsche. We're in beautiful Jacksonville, Florida. I included a link to Brumos Part 1 in the description just in case you missed it last week. Go check it out. What an incredible collection. And while we covered the early years of racing last week, this week we're covering the most recognizable and iconic Porsche racing team in America. The red, white, and blue color scheme screams Americana just as much as their cars screamed on the track. I love Porsche cars, and they may be my second favorite sports car to America's sports car, the Corvette. As I mentioned, this video is Brumos Part 2, but this is also Porsche Part 1. I'm going to have at least 2 more episodes dedicated to Porsche. Be on the lookout for future videos where I dive deeper into the Porsche legacy. The Brumos racing effort started in the 1940s when Hubert Brundage, founder of the team, bought a Duesenberg race car that had finished second at Indy. Well, the doozy didn't do so well when Brundage and company raced it, and around the same time, the Sports Car Club of America outlawed hot rods in favor of race cars based largely on European sports cars. That killed the doozy effort, as the doozy was genuinely a hot-rodded street machine instead of a car built with a racetrack in mind. At the last race with the Duesenberg, Mr. Brundage found a car that would change his life, a Porsche. The Brundage family became a Volkswagen importer in South Florida, and with encouragement from Porsche, they moved to Jacksonville to have more access to the major port located there. Brumos became the Porsche importer for the southeastern United States. When Brundage passed on, the Brumos Porsche dealership was purchased by Peter Gregg, the feller who would take Porsche racing big time in America. He picked the iconic 59 and the red, white, and blue color scheme that would forever speak Brumos to the world. In the 1950s, Brumos raced the first Porsche outside of Europe and achieved 5 24-hour of Daytona wins, 3 24-hour of Le Mans wins, and 2 12-hour of Sebring wins. That's stuff of legend. The Brumos racing team's final race was Road Atlanta in 2013. And in 2020, the retelling of the storied career began here at the Brumos Collection. Check out the first Porsche that I found in the main gallery. A 1971 Porsche 914-6 GT. Now, many of you people who are Porsche purists may scoff at this model, as it's been called the Volkswagen Porsche by some. This car was co-developed by Volkswagen and Porsche, and versions sold at both dealerships, except in California, where the 914 was only sold as a Volkswagen at VW dealerships. Hey, it was cheap for a Porsche. I have to say that this may be my least favorite Porsche. However, the story of this particular one is worth repeating. This 914 is the first Brumos championship winning car when it was wheeled to clinch the IMSA championship in 1971. When Brumos was racing it, they viewed the car as just another race car that gets the job done. But man, this car is super rare, being one of 11 made. The 1990s signaled a new day for Brumos, with new ownership and this 1991 Porsche 964 Turbo Supercar with its classic Brumos livery taking it to the tracks in 91. 320 horsepower from an air-cooled 3.3-liter flat six and a top speed of 170 miles an hour is this car, winning the 91 IMSA Supercar Manufacturer and Driver Championships were the first order of business, and the 3 guys who split driving duties for the 964 Turbo achieved 100% top 10 finishes that year. More championships piled up in 92, 93, and 94. Woo, I love winners. This 2017 Porsche 911 RSR raced in the IMSA Sports Car Championship GTLM class, and in 2019, Porsche honored the Brumos racing team by running this car with the race team's livery. The iconic Brumos number 59 made up the famous red and blue stripes on the car. That number 59 was raced by Brumos for 5 decades. The 911 RSR was named a ruthlessly efficient instrument of speed by the Road and Track magazine. And there was a secret in this car that was revealed by Porsche engineers at the unveiling in 2016. The 510 horsepower water-cooled flat-six engine was moved forward in the chassis of the RSR to sit in front of the rear axle, making the car mid-engined. The new engine placement allowed for a bigger diffuser and a massive wing on the back to improve downforce. Now, some people said that, hey, that ain't a true Porsche 911 if you move the engine forward from the traditional rear end spot behind the axle. But those same people couldn't argue with the results. 5 consecutive wins for this RSR that's painted up to look like a Brumos car. You can't argue with that kind of success. Hey, I'm all about cars and guitars. Yeah. This 2019 Porsche GT2 RS Club Sport has an interesting story, as in 2022 it raced the Pikes Peak Hill Climb in Colorado and won its class for the race. The driver, David Donahue, said that this car is a record breaker given the right conditions, and sure enough, in 2023, he went back to Pikes Peak and shattered the record. The story gets even better when you know the background. See, Donahue was a driver for Brumos when the company stopped racing in 2013, and he had an idea to get Brumos back involved for the Pikes Peak run. Donahue called the owner of the Brumos Collection, Dan Davis, and asked if he would support his racing. The only problem is that Donahue didn't have a car. Well, Mr. Davis said, "Why don't we buy one? The Brumos Collection buy a car." Well, they purchased the last Club Sport of 200 built. And get this, the VIN of this car ends with the number 58, the car number that Donahue drove while at Brumos Racing. This car has a twin-turbo flat-six engine with 700 horsepower mated to a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. Wow! The Pikes Peak race in 2022 was plagued by foul weather. It was foggy with wet roads at the bottom and clouds covering the mountain at the 14,115-foot top, to the point that visibility was only about 20 yards. The car finished first in 2022, but Donahue vowed to return and hope for good weather. He did, and the weather cooperated in 2023. Donahue beat the class record by over 5 seconds, which is a huge number in racing, where even a tenth of a second can determine a win or a loss. The closest race in NASCAR history, just for comparison's sake, it happened last year when the margin of victory was just 0.001, which is 1 millisecond. The average of the top 20 closest NASCAR races of all time is 0.0064, which is 6.4 milliseconds. You know, a full 5 seconds quicker than the record that Donahue achieved at Pikes Peak is an eternity in racing timing. Oh man, what a driver and what a car. And I'll leave you with what has to be my favorite Porsche, the Carrera GT. The $440,000 Carrera GT started life as a race car design, but the race car was not meant to be. Canceled by Porsche. They were like, "Hey, what's to gain with another race car for Le Mans? We've already won there 10 times. In second place, Ferrari has 8 wins, and the rest of the manufacturers have fewer than that." Porsche instead created a limited production supercar outfitted with a 612 horsepower V10 engine, and the car could hit 205 miles per hour. Porsche built just 1,270 of these cars between 2003 and 2006, and hey, this is one of them. Now, if you watched my video from the Louis J. Mascaro Museum a few weeks ago, you know more of the story about the Carrera GT. I've linked that video in the description below, so go check out Lou's magnificent Porsche collection. Hey, thanks for joining me today, and look for Porsche Part 2 next week. God bless you and peace.